Before we begin the garden tour today, I wanted to quickly show you our new little friend that we have. Remember the little caterpillar, swallowtail caterpillar that I showed you in the last video? Well, we have the butterfly here, and it looks to be a male because he has more of the yellow spots than blue. So here we have our eastern black swallowtail. Just emerged this morning. I did not get to see the e-closing happen, but I'm very happy to see our little friend made it. So I'm gonna go ahead and release him now, and then we'll start the tour. There he goes. All right. So summer has officially arrived. We have lots of the summer blooming things out in full force, to include our Kismet raspberries. Loud and proud right here. Aren't they beautiful? I love the color of the petals, and I love that big, beautiful orange cone. Lots of pollinators on these guys. And you can see in the background we've got the Glamour Girl garden phlox, and the daisy maze, Shasta daisies over there are still holding out. Okay. Here we have a better shot of our so-called strawberry candy daylilies. I'm still not convinced that that's what they are, but they are really pretty. And this variety that I have behind me, it's called Pandora's Box, or at least that's what it was labeled as. It looks identical to whatever I have that I just showed you, strawberry candy. So one of these is the true form and the other is not, but oh well. Oh, and while we're over here, let me show you my passion flower vine. Look at these blooms. These look like something out of this world. Let's see if I can get to the side here. They have a really bizarre center and just, I mean, amazing structure. I don't even know how to describe that. Gorgeous. All right, we have some of the Sensation Pink coneflowers starting to open here. I have 3 plants in this little section. The other 2 still have buds, and that one over there is getting close to opening. But this will eventually just fill out and be really gorgeous. These are one of my favorite coneflowers because I do love the color. I love how they age, and I just love, like, they're just kind of a delicate little, I don't know, they're just a smaller flower, so they're just really petite and really cute. I think they're adorable. And just around the corner here, we do have one of the Sunseekers opened. Really lovely. You can see lots of different shades of pink and orange and yellow throughout that. And unlike the traditional varieties of coneflowers that have the downturned petals, these ones are more horizontal, and you can see all the layers that they have in here too. So these have a structure that's a little more similar to a calendula, but absolutely gorgeous. I just love that, like, rainbow of color in there. In fact, I think these are called Sunseeker Rainbow. I did get my hands on some zinnias finally. I found these at Lowe's. They were, I think they were just called Zinnia elegans. However, I did a little more research, and I do believe these are also from the Swizzle series. and they might be like raspberry and cream or something like that, but really gorgeous color. And I love a nice puffy double bloom like these. And now that it's summer and now that the heat is on, these should start growing very quickly. Here we have a group of the Liatris, which is starting to bloom and looking gorgeous. These are an absolute pollinator magnet. I even see hummingbirds sipping nectar from these plants. I do want to show you something unusual though. Keep in mind these are part of the Asteraceae family, and asters can get a virus or a disease called Astor's yellow. And I'm not sure if that's what I have, but I definitely have something going on. So I want you to pay attention to this stalk right here. If we can focus in here, I have all this very unusual growth coming off of this stalk. Like here's another cluster of it right here. And then it finally gets into the normal stalk where it should be blooming. If you notice, every other stalk in this group is blooming except for this one that's affected. So I don't know if that's what the problem is, but there are several stalks coming out of this one like section of this clump. Like this one here too has just this really unusual, I don't know if we can focus here, there we go. All these like little almost additional stalks coming off of the stalk or trying to. And even though this one is blooming up here, let's see if I can back up. It's splitting, right? It's like got two heads on it, which is just unusual. So the unfortunate thing with the Astor's yellow disease is if you don't remove the plant that's affected, it can start to spread the disease to other plants, not just in this group, but in the aster family, which would include my coneflowers, and I cannot have that happen. So I think, even though I'm not sure what's going on, I think just to be safe, I am going to remove just that clump and destroy that section because something is clearly wrong and I don't want to take any chances. I added in a couple new plants over here. We have some dahlias. I don't know the variety of these, but my mother-in-law insisted that I get these, so here they are, and they're right here in front of our porch. We spend a lot of time on this porch in the summertime, you know, having coffee in the morning and tending to our butterflies and caterpillars. So she can see these every day, and they are really nice. I also picked up some coneflowers, big surprise. I had been looking for the puff vanilla or milkshake variety because I did want a white, excuse me, a white double coneflower. Haven't been able to find them, but I did find these, and these are called butter pecan, and they're white enough. I think like when they come out, they're a little more like a pale yellow, but a lot of them have already faded to like a nice white, and they were only like $6, so kind of had to get those. Very happy to have those here. All right, I think we've pretty much finished up this side. Oh, we can peek at the Granada Gold coneflower. Look at that, look at the different shades of yellow. Right, they come out a little more like Kraft macaroni and cheese and then they fade out. I just love that ombre effect, it's really pretty. And like I said, when summer arrives and the heat comes, the zinnias really get going. So these are the Profusion series, red, and the white ones are supposed to be coral pink, but they're clearly some other color, white maybe. But they're really doing a good job filling in the spaces. I love it. Here's another shot of the Giddy Pink coneflower. Absolutely gorgeous. And let's carry on this way. We have a butterfly bush. This is from the Chrysalis series. I think it might be Chrysalis Blue. I'm not sure though. And here we have the Glamour Girl garden phlox, looking amazing. I used to have some hummingbird mint, 3 of them planted right here in front of the bird bath planter, and for some reason they just were not really putting on much growth or doing much, so I pulled them all out, moved them across to a different section, and I added 3 more serendipity alliums here. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do over here in this space, but maybe I'll just leave it. And here, you'll notice, is the mellow yellow spirea, which I had in a position behind me. I used to have the summer pastels yarrow right here, and the one plant that I had right here was just massive. Definitely outgrew its space, got way too tall, and was flopping open. So I pulled it out and moved it somewhere else. This spirea is here because it really wants to be in a full sun location, and that's actually preferred if you want it to show its yellow and gold color. Where I had it before, it was in a more like a part sun location, and it was starting to revert back to like a regular green color. So this is where it used to be, and now I have replaced it with a Summer Crush hydrangea, which I have one of these in the backyard that is doing so well. It is probably the best looking plant on the property right now. It actually is a purple blue color instead of this hot pink color that you're seeing. These are macrophylla, so you can manipulate their color based on your acidity or alkaline soil, but these are just gorgeous. So I think this is a more suitable spot for a plant like this, and yeah, this area definitely needed like a shrub. So, all right, I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. Let's go back over here. All right, so we have the daisy mays are just sort of finishing up here. They have definitely peaked, and now they're just on the downside, but they are so gorgeous. And I did have to like cut out some of the plants that had flopped over and were laying out into the driveway, and that's okay. These will, sometimes you can cut them back, and sometimes they'll send out some more flowers kind of sporadically throughout the rest of the year. Definitely not like a beautiful stand like they are now, but you know, that's still okay. More orange coneflowers. My Caradonna salvia is still trying to bloom. I did cut it back, and you know, somehow we're getting some more blooms coming through. We actually had a decent spring, like it wasn't obnoxiously hot, and I think that might have encouraged some of those spring flowering things to just continue on. I'm noticing like some of my dianthus is still producing a lot of buds, and usually by this time of the year they are done. Here we have the ruby giants finally opening, and these are supposed to be like 5 to 7 inch wide blooms. I would say these aren't quite this big one here. Let's see. It's probably not quite 5 inches. It's probably closer to 4. But I think as the season progresses, these will continue to get larger. Here we have some of the supreme cantaloupes. This one here was the very first one to start, and you can see this one's been here for probably 4 weeks. So the lower petals have definitely washed out the color, but you still have a little bit of that in the center. But what a gorgeous structure. And we do have the Japanese beetles. They're here now, so you'll notice they've been eating some of the petals and making some of the plants look less pretty. All right, and then just down the way we have more of the serendipity alliums. These ones are blooming a little more appropriately with the normal time for them. But it has been nice having some of them go off earlier this year and just having a wave of succession with these groups going off at different times. So there they are, looking beautiful. Over here we have the double scoop mandarin coneflowers. So these are in the same series as the double scoop bubblegums, but the blooms are not nearly as large as the bubblegums. But the great thing about this is because the blooms aren't so large and heavy, they're actually able to support the weight of the flowers. These are not going to flop over, and I actually do appreciate that a lot more because the bubblegums are so large and heavy that they are very prone to flopping over. In fact, the one plant that I have left is being held up by a couple of pots right now to prevent it from being in the ground. I did finally find a ruby spider daylily. Obviously it's not in bloom right this second, but I'll see if I can find a picture that I took earlier, but really large bloom on that and absolutely gorgeous. This is a Baja Burgundy coneflower. This one would prefer to be in more sun, and I think next year when the foliage emerges in the spring, I will transplant that to a different location just to give it what it wants. Check this out. We have the first bloom from the mighty chestnut. Nice little orange petal with a red throat. Really beautiful. More of the blue fortune hyssop. Isn't this a great shot? You can just see all these layers all the way down. It's so pretty. We have the Peekabella coneflower just starting to open some petals. Well, not open, but extend some petals from the center. So we'll have to check back on this one in a few weeks and see what that looks like. The coleus is definitely picking up the pace here. I think this is also one of those plants that really gets going in the heat of the summer. That one over there is definitely the biggest one. And my was it false or bleeding heart teleopsis is starting to bloom already. And these are interesting because they come out more of a red color initially and then they fade to like orange and yellow. So it's a beautiful mixture of fall colors. Here we have the Sangarita. Ugh, and a little bully. Get out of here, you. We have the Sangarita coneflowers, which are a very beautiful, intense red color, but they have a really dark cone. I don't know if you can see. And like the very tips of the cones are like red. They are definitely a very striking plant out in the garden. Here's some more of the cherry brandy rudbeckia. And some more zinnias that I picked up. I don't even know if these had a variety on the tag, but just a mixture. Hopefully they don't get too tall, but we'll see. And this is one of the what is this called? Joe Pye weed. Goodness gracious. Joe Pye weed. Starting to form a bud. Some buds here at the top. And probably in another month or so that should be blooming. I wanted to talk to you really quickly about my Jordan maple. It is getting way too much sun, which is kind of sad. I'm gonna have to move this to a different location. But it's kind of an interesting one because it needs to have enough sun to hold, get the yellow color in the leaves, which is what you want. But if you give it too much sun, it starts to crisp up and burn. So I don't know, I'm gonna have to find the perfect spot for that one somewhere else. All right, let's carry on down this way. So right here we have the betony. I have two groups of this, the one here and then the one across kind of where the dahlias are that I showed you. These ones started a little bit later, so they're looking a little bit better. Again, we did have a lot of heavy rain last night, and that probably knocked out a lot of the petals. But this is such a gorgeous plant, and the pollinators go crazy for these. So I went on a vacation about a week ago, and when I came back, I had, well, a lot of weeds, but also a lot of other issues arose during the time I was gone. I talked to you about having problems with voles, and when they go unchecked, they can just really wreak havoc on your yard. And I have lost a total of 8 coneflowers this year, several of which were very expensive. I'm very upset about this. I've also lost some gaillardia, and they're currently working on that clump of liatris over there. We'll get to it in a minute. But I did lose one of the orange coneflowers that was right here, and they did take out like about half of this plant right here. So whatever I could salvage of those plants, I tried to like get as much of the root as I could. Got it back into a pot with soil, and hopefully we can get them to recover. But those darn voles are so pesky. They also took out the other purple coneflower that I had in this spot, so now we have this guy just all by himself here. And obviously heavy rain kind of splayed it out a little bit, so it's looking very funny. I think what I'll do is in the spring of next year, I'll dig this one out and consolidate it with that other group over there, so we can just have one big group all together. All right. This is the Golden Jubilee hyssop. It's supposed to have a little more of a yellow toned foliage to it compared to the Blue Fortune. However, honestly, they look identical. And I'm not sure, maybe this one would prefer more sun. Sometimes when you have those yellow toned foliage plants, they want to be in more sun to bring that color out, and maybe that's what the problem is. This is what I would consider more of a part sun location over here. I have a beautiful butterfly bush. We've got the salsa red coneflowers, the adobe orange coneflowers in the back, and then we've got the gaillardia kind of in between. I also lost another orange coneflower right here to the voles. But usually these perennials kind of beef up a little bit later in the season, so hopefully they'll be able to fill in that gap. Here are some white swan coneflowers. They just started to open. These ones started to come around the same time as the ruby giants. So you'll notice if you have a lot of coneflowers in your yard, especially different varieties, you'll notice some come a lot earlier and some are a little bit later to arrive, which is kind of nice, just having the early ones to enjoy now and others to enjoy later. Here is the one remaining plants of the double scoop bubblegum being supported by these pots because it got too heavy. Unfortunately, the vole did eat 2 of the other plants I had in this area, both of which are trying to recover in a pot, but we will have to wait and see how that goes. And here are the Indian Summer Rudbeckias. Look how gorgeous they are. What a cheerful little yellow flower. And this one here is probably the largest bloom that I have on both or all 3 of these plants. You know, these ones are supposed to have 6 to 9 inch wide blooms. I would say that this one is pretty close to 6 inches. And these have really just kind of started going, so we'll just give that a little more time throughout the season. Maybe we'll start to see a little more larger flowers starting to come through a little bit later on. And here's this sorry looking liatris clump. Look what these voles have done. They have just eaten like this entire section right here. I mean, and you can see some of the stalks that remain, like these two right here are looking pretty bad. They're still like anchored in, so it hasn't gotten all of the roots just yet, but clearly has done enough damage to get them to look like this. So I have treated the area with those pellets, hoping that it will get rid of them, but I haven't had any reprieve so far. Look at these enormous coneflowers. These are the native variety purple coneflowers, and they've got to be over 5 feet tall, way bigger than they were last year. Okay, let's see, over here we've got, well, a lot of the spring blooming things are just about done. We have the Veronicas or Speedwell, whatever you like to call them. I'm going to show you this because this is important, but this one's a different variety. I don't know what, it's a white one, but it's pretty much the same thing. So I have left this one, it has not been cut at all. And this is what both of these plants would look like had I not done any cutting on them. So I just cut this one back maybe a week ago, and you can already see some of these like little side shoots on the stems that are coming through, and they're going to eventually start producing a second set of second set of blooms, just like this plant has here. I cut these back probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, and you can already see some brand new spikes coming through, and it's a really great way to get these plants to perform and continue offering you more color versus just letting them sit here and look brown and gross. So that's what you can do. It usually takes about 3 to 4 weeks to see that recharge happen, but definitely worth it. Over here, what's new? I guess this Rudbeckia is starting to bloom a little more heavy. I did have to remove one of the plants that was right behind this ironweed plant because it was just becoming way too much of a thug and crowding out everything else in this space. So that'll give that ironweed plant a little more breathing room. The hummingbird mint right here in the front is, I mean, wow, so gorgeous. There's 3 plants in that section, and they're all probably 2 feet tall and wide. They're finally starting to put on some blooms, which I don't think are really that significant, but the pollinators do like them. Something cool about them is when they are starting to form, the calyx is like a dark purple color, so you'll get to enjoy that before the blooms arrive. Then the blooms come in, they're a little bit lighter color, and then eventually when they fall out, you're still left with that calyx, which is dark purple. So even when these are not actually fully blooming, you can enjoy them before and after, and they're so easy to grow. These guys are right off of the asphalt driveway, so they can definitely handle the heat that radiates up. On the back side of this is like a slope. Oops. We have the easement away from our driveway that kind of flows into this ditch, so this is clearly a very well-drained area. But these guys are just one of those plants you just plant them and forget them, and they just do what they want. They're awesome. Okay, I think I've covered just about everything. Everything new. Some of my milkweed flopped over in the rain last night. We do have some caterpillars, monarch caterpillars, in the milkweed in the backyard. Finally, it's taken a while, like they just hatched out of their eggs this morning. In fact, I'm gonna run back there and see if I can find one for you. All right, so there is the first little baby caterpillar, monarch caterpillar of the year. I was out here a couple of days ago and I found like 12 different eggs out here. And so I've been monitoring them, waiting for them to hatch, and today is the day. So what I'm gonna do is collect these little baby caterpillars and get them into their little enclosures and let the Monarch madness begin. Okay, well, while we're back here, we might as well just run through here really quick. We have the Millennium Alliums blooming here. Some of that Coreopsis looking pretty good. Another orange coneflower. The Pugster Blue butterfly bush is starting to get some buds open on here. Let me get a different angle. There we go. Always looks so gorgeous with those red coneflowers. Oh. Let's see from this angle here. The petunias are looking a little rough after all that rain, but they'll rebound quickly. And oh yes, I want to show you this summer crush hydrangea. This beautiful purple blue one. Whoop. So every time you see these in the store, or every time I've seen them in the store, they're always hot pink, and so are the tags. So just remember, these are macrophyllus and you can manipulate their color. And I don't really care either way if they're purple or pink or blue or whatever. I think they're all beautiful. So I don't do anything to manipulate the color, but clearly this area is, I don't even know. Hold on, let me see a tag. What does it mean? More alkaline. I think it means they're more alkaline if it's blue or purple. But super gorgeous. And some of these stems on the skirt of this plant have started to flop down just because of all that rain we had, but oh my gosh, I cannot get over that plant. It's just stunning. And also this backdraft Nephopia in the front. Look how gorgeous that is. I could look at this all day. All right, well that is all for now, so I will see you in another video.